All right. Do you have any questions before I dive in to make sure that you're good and solid on what you, um, to make sure you don't lose any momentum?
Uh, no, I don't think I do. Go ahead.
Okay. So, did we go over the roller coaster principle?
No.
So it's one of the first natural laws that I discovered, 40, 35 years ago. And what it is in business, you see this roller coaster. You know what I'm talking about or not?
Probably up and down.
Yeah, that's
That's
exactly
what I get in my head if you say roller coaster.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's exactly that. So here's this. Oh, you have a roller coaster. So got a ton of business and then you got very little business. You got a ton of business and then very little business. So you're going up and down on a roller coaster. I discovered this when I was 24 years old. So
Okay.
I was in a mortgage industry as responsible for sales, and I saw the roller coaster going up and down, and I said, ah, well, this stinks. Like, how you supposed to staff? Like, how you supposed to staff for this stuff? And so you can't staff for the top because if you do, you're going to have to lay people off, or you're going to lose a lot of money. So I told that I'm 24 years old, and I tell it to the president of the company who has an MBA, which is a master's degree. So that's somebody who went through a lot of college to learn a lot of things specifically about business. And then I told the
Uh-huh.
operation. So I'm this young guy coming in, and I'm like, this roller coaster's killing us. Like it's killing us. And and they're like, well, that's just how it is, Mark. And I said, well, I don't know that it has to be that way. And they're like, it does. Henry Ford said, if you believe a thing to be true or believe it not to be true, either way, you're right. So I'm like, I don't believe what they're saying. So actually, there's two roller coasters. There's the first one, which is results, and the second one is effort. The results you can see on your balance sheet, in your checkbook, in your accounts. You can see that. That's very clear. But your efforts, you can't see that. It's invisible. It's an invisible roller coaster. And so the challenge is when people go ahead and get into busy time. And I'm not saying you should keep going with coaching. So don't misrepresent or don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying that I'm just saying that a lot of times people are like, well, I've got all this stuff on my plate. I can't afford coaching. And it's almost like growing up in a pastor's house, it's like I'm too busy to pray. And it's like, well, that's the time you need to do the most praying is when you're too busy to pray. Same thing is true in this. And so what happens is on your 530 grid, I don't know if you've got that there or not. Um,
I got it back
okay.
here, but I'll get it.
Yeah. So on the 530 grid, it's like you're so busy in the servicing that what happens is your marketing, your area 1, 2, and 3 start to constrict. It starts to go down. So you're going to have all of this business. You're going to have all this business, and you got to take care of the business. But if you're not out there developing new business, but you might say, well, I don't want any new business. And it's like, well, actually, you do, just not now. You're going to want new business in the future. And so a lot of times business owners don't understand what's called the delayed action result principle. And that is the efforts that we do today don't produce results today. Often they produce results in the future. The difference between
Yep.
fishing and farming. So when you never talk to a fisherman and they go and say, I'm going fishing today, but I don't expect to catch anything. But because I'm fishing today, I expect to catch something in a month. Like no fisherman thinks that way. Just like no
Yep.
farmer thinks I'm going to plant today and I'm going to get a harvest today. Like that's totally so fishing and farming are two entirely different ways of thinking. And when you own your own company, there's a lot more farming than there is fishing.
Yeah.
And so the results that you're doing today produce results in the future. And your temptation is not to do marketing or sales or pre-sales or any of that because you can't handle it. You're booked. You have so much work, you don't want any more work. And you don't have really time to do marketing, pre-sales, and sales. So what happens is you do a bunch of work, and then all of a sudden, and in construction and outdoor work, any of the trades, there tends to be cycles largely based on the weather. And in large part. And so how do you go ahead? How do you go ahead and make sure you reduce that roller coaster? And so, there's a delay in it. So the efforts and the results go up and down, and you're in this perpetual roller coaster that can put people out of business. So in your 530 grid, you've got to have, you've got to maintain some level of marketing, some level of pre-sale, some level of the sale. And so I just talked to Bill. I don't know if you know Bill with Bill's Long Reach. So he's excavator
Okay. Yeah.
ponds and stuff like that. He did our pond, did a great job. So he hangs out every Thursday morning, and it probably wouldn't be bad for you to do that. It's at 6:30 on Thursdays. Anyways, he's got a whole bunch of business lined up now. So he was running thin. Now he's got, maybe
Uh-huh.
too much business. So there's specific business strategies that you do when you have too much business. You might start bumping up the price on some of the stuff to make it more profitable. If for nothing else, to go ahead and put away the profit for the lean times when you're in business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
And so one of the things that I've been using for 14 years is what's called EVAs, which are executive virtual assistants. And they're through Life Masteries Institute. And so you might want to consider that. That changed my entire way I did business. And so they brought a level of consistency to my business that my business hadn't had, for the previous 15 years. And so they were far better than employees, far, far better than employees. They did things that employees just honestly couldn't do. It was amazing. So, how do you maintain, how do you look into the future as a business owner? A lot of times it's almost like a war, and you're in the trenches fighting when you should be at the top of the hill looking at what's going on with the battle. Does any of that
Yeah.
make sense or not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But business owners say, well, Mark, that's easy for you to say. Well, I own 9 companies. And the benefit of owning 9 companies is like the same benefit I have from having 7 kids. And what's that, Mark? Well, you know, with 7 of them, there's got to be at least a couple of them that are doing okay at any given time. So I can feel really good as a dad because there's at least 2 of them that are probably, making good choices and doing good. The bad part about having 7 kids is probably there's always a couple of them that are really, you're scratching your head saying, you were taught better than this. Same thing with 9 companies. It's like, there's always a couple that, yeah, they're doing great. One of them is making so much money, they don't even know what to do with it, which is a good problem to have. But there's always some other businesses that are like, man, they need some attention. And so in the 530 grid, you want to get consistency in the marketing and the pre-sales and the sales. There's one of the companies that I own, so I'm not the managing partner. Somebody else manages the business. I just kind of there for investment and for advice and that kind of stuff. And they built the system for employees. And one of the older employees, he didn't like the new system. And, the business owner made a choice and said, I'm not going to force, the employee to do it. But it was checking on the employee 1 to 10. How happy are you? Like, are you happy with your position and blah, blah, blah. And the older employee didn't want to do it. Older employee uh, quit. And the reason why is they were kind of clouded and they were kind of frustrated with certain aspects of the business, but they didn't follow the system. Like the system, yes, it
Yeah.
was there for the business owner. So if you have somebody and this poor employee, not only were they not happy, they told other employees they weren't happy. Well, those other employees are not going to be able to help you fix the problem. You need to talk to the owner, but the employee didn't talk to the owner. Like you scratch your head and say, that's not a very smart thing to do as an employee. And so so all of the things that we've been working on, you might go ahead and pare some of those things back, you know, you know, but you want to keep those going. You want to keep those activities going. And if you don't have a weekly appointment that's keeping your feet to the fire, that's kind of keeping you up. And, we have a number of clients that are also accounting firms or CPAs. And they
Uh-huh.
they have said, during tax season, they've said, Mark, honestly, I can't afford 30 minutes a week. And it's like, it's okay. Just do 5 minutes. And those 5 minute coaching sessions, which is strange, those are often more profitable and more beneficial than the 30 minutes are.
Uh-huh.
Questions or thoughts on anything?
No, I don't think so.
So
No.
what we'll probably do is probably Mary Jo will touch base with you, you know, um, once a month or something, and just check in with you and just how you doing. Maybe hear some new things, So she'll probably just touch base. Maybe just leave a voicemail. You can call her back if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. Um, and so what you've done now is by putting the Action Vision on hold, you move from area 4 servicing in our model to a client for life.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of times what happens is like when you stop paying, then naturally businesses stop serving you.
Yeah.
That's not kind of how we work. We're going to continue to service you, not at the same level, obviously, that we were before, but we want to make sure that the financial investment and the time investment that you've made up to this point um, continues to go ahead. You continue to gain benefit from it. And if you stop doing it, you're going to lose, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% of the value. If you don't keep going, you're going to lose so much of the value.
Yep.
Does that
And I
make
agree with
sense?
you. Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. I agree with you. I was expecting this. When I knew I was going to say that I need to quit for a while. I knew I knew you wouldn't let me off that easy. Uh, and
Well, I'm
I
glad
probably
I
would have
didn't
been let down a
disappoint you.
little. I would have been probably let down quite a bit if you wouldn't have done this. But I expected I mean, not to that exact extent, but uh, being too busy when you're busy. I know exactly. Yeah, like I said, I would have been let down a little bit if you wouldn't have fired that at me.
Yeah,
But
well, good.
so so I'll be honest with you on on this whole thing. I mean, obviously the financial part of it. I mean,
Yep,
I feel like I got plenty on my plate as far as what I've learned, what I've been taught from you guys.
yep,
Uh, and I feel like I got to put it in action and like I've been saying, I'm a pretty dumb person, and I mean, it's gotta be down to earth for me. It's got to be kind of put in a simple explanation way, which you have done.
Okay, good.
But I feel like I've got to put it in action,
So
and
here's the
and I
weakness,
yeah.
here's the challenge people have with Action Vision. I'll tell you. And I hope, I like to think that in the last 33 years we've gotten better at this, but we still have a challenge with it. And that is because God keeps giving me new insights to new things. And so there's so much stuff in Action Vision, it's overwhelming to people. And so people will tend to think, business owners will think, man, I got so much stuff here. Uh, I'm not using it all. And it's like, well, nobody uses all of Action Vision all the times. There's parts that you use now that you won't use later, you will use later, you won't use now. And that's really what the coaching is about, to make sure you're using the parts that you need to be using. Um, and that's why, we're going to continue to touch base with you. The Thursday morning, it's not one on one. Thursday morning at 6:30 is a group. So there's a handful of people. Sometimes there's two or three people. Sometimes there's six or seven people that show up, different businesses and those type of things. And so I think that would be beneficial to you. Um, and Mary Jo and I will talk and see if we can, kind of fine tune. And you're free to call me at any time or shoot me an email or something and say, "Hey, Mark, struggle." So we want to continue to be there for you. We want to continue to be there for you because there is a lot that's coming at you. And from my perspective, Willis, you are a pretty smart guy. You're very, like, I don't know that you give yourself credit. But you've
No, I
picked
don't.
up on a lot, and I think learned a lot. And now it's the implementation of it, and those type of things. And so we want to make sure you do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, yep.
Is there anything else that we can do to help you, sir?
I do not think so. No, sir.
Okay. So, um, so if you change your mind, in another
Okay.
hour and you want to keep going, we're fine with that. We're also fine with you putting it on hold too. So I understand that. Obviously, I don't know that that's the best idea for you, but sometimes clients need to learn and it's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's fine. So it's
Yeah, I know
okay.
you're thinking I'm gonna learn the hard way, right?
Well, there's different pieces in learning and it's all going to be good. And that's where making sure that that we're still here for you. It's like when your kids
Yeah.
kind of maybe leave home, well, you're still part of the family, but like a number of my kids said, Dad, you're the issue. I'm like, I hope that's the case. I hope I am the issue. They're like, why is that, Dad? I said, well, when you leave this home, your life's going to get a lot better then. I mean, if I'm the issue, and that's my heart's desire for my children and for the clients, like my life, I want your life to get better. When they left home, it's weird. Their life didn't get better so much. Like it's like, Dad's not the issue. So just to make sure that you're comfortable and Mary Jo will keep up with you, and there'll be some new things that as we're developing, we're always developing new things, and so we'll share those with you. But you've been a great client. We appreciate that. And, if you want to put it on hold for a month, that's fine, or 3 months, whatever you need. But you're also open to coming back. And if you need more clarity or tighter time, and don't think of it as, if you're only spending 5 minutes in a coaching session, you're going to get a lot less than 30 minutes. That's not the case. If you say, Mark, we only have 5 minutes for today, we'll take that 5 minutes and your mind will be blowing. You'll be like, how did we accomplish so much in 5 minutes? And so I have so many stories of those type of things happening. So anything else, Willis, that you
Okay.
have?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'll continue to keep connected. And again, if you want, whenever you want to get started back up, the door's open. We're here to help you any way we can.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
All right, sir. Have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.